Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Well, in my opinion, Jeremy Beal, but that's, of course, you know.
Plays well as anybody.
Oh, he's been fabulous. He's been coach's pick player of the game probably 9 of 11 weeks, along with a few other guys here and there. But the guy's been fabulous for us.
Defensively with OSU, with Bill Young, he's been around a long time. When you get ready for him, do you draw on things or just what he's doing here?
Well, you know, Bill does a great job, and he has everywhere he's been, and you know, so you see very sound structures and discipline in how they line up and play and read their keys and those kind of things. So they really make you work, you know, to beat them, you know, and to execute against them. So that's the key, that you've got to be able to continually execute and move the football.
Is he a pressure team any more than teams you face this year?
I wouldn't say any more, but they're going to come after you. You know, everybody picks their spots, and anymore in today's game, if you do it too much or you're too predictable in it, people have all the different ways to take advantage of it. So, you know, they'll play the game like we do.
What's tougher to coach defense? Would it be college, or you see some things in the NFL?
Well, it's not fair from, you know, not having been in the NFL. I'm sure they have their challenges too. I would just say, of course, in the college game, all the different styles of offense that you see, and you see so many different variations, and you see a lot more quarterback run game that's involved, that you know, that it's incredibly challenging in today's game, the way people spread out, the way they use their quarterbacks. The option game is always, you know, is a part of so many different teams and what they do, and you know, and the different, you know, the different ways people use personnel. It's challenging.
I realize you have your headset on during the game, you don't hear as much, but players talk, the fans are so close in Stillwater, they even try to disrupt meetings while the defense on the field, they try to disrupt the offense. Any stories you can remember from some of your games up there on how their fans really get on the opposing bench?
I'll pay attention to them. So, no, I don't have any. I haven't had any problem.
But we like to ask you about all your problems. Texas problem, bowl game problem, road game problem. We used to ask you about your Bedlam problem. You once were 2-2 against them, but now you've won 7.
Well, that wouldn't, just in a 4-year span, now, it wouldn't be the whole.
Well, but 2-2 at OU, and now all of a sudden
You guys always take whatever number fits your story.
Yeah,
You
no,
don't
use
tell the
all-
whole story.
That's what they teach in school. Use all ambiguity to your advantage. But my question is, what have you done to fix that problem? You beat them 7 straight now.
Well, we've won. We've played well. So, in the end, that's been the case, and again, it's exciting to be in this position for, you know, 9 of 11 years in a position in the last game to chase a championship. That's not easy to do, obviously.
Is that history worth anything on Saturday?
Nope. Now you have to go play it Saturday. So, but, you know, it's where you want to be.
Bob, yesterday Quentin Carter said that he did understand the whole thing about the Blitnikoff and Ryan and Blackman being matched up in this game, and that people are going to make generalizations based off who's better and by who wins this game. Does that part of this game bother you?
No, I don't think either team will be out to win an award. You know, so I in the end, you know, they're both great players, and you got to go play the game. You know, and different strategies. You got to use the strategy that works to move the ball to score points and to win, not to win just an award. So I don't see that, at least, and I'm sure Oklahoma State's the same way.
How much did you guys look at Blackman when he was coming out?
Oh, we looked at him.
Coach, you mentioned after practice, I think that you were optimistic about Finch and Box. Have you gotten any new information to elaborate on? Or
Yeah, we're right. As of today, they're set to play.
And is there any chance that would change?
Be highly unlikely. You never know what happens through practice, but you know, I don't see that happening.
There's a chance, Bob, this game is going to be moved to the first week of December when the new Big 12. Would you like that? Would you like Thanksgiving off for your players? Or what's your thoughts about this game being moved?
Oh, that'd be fine. In the end, yeah, that'd be okay with me. You know, that gives you another game being that you don't have a championship game, so you're playing another game closer to the bowl games and all, so I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Did you have any voice in the rescheduling because of the shuffling and playing in Stillwater 2 straight years?
Yes, Joe Castiglione and I had a voice, but in the end, there's no good way without having give and take with some other games. It's just, there isn't a good way for it. I'm sure they, I think in their end of it, maybe they have to go to Texas, I think, 2 straight years. So everybody, I think, somewhere along the line has something that isn't maybe the most favorable. So in the end, that's kind of how Joe and I saw it.
Is going to Stillwater similar to any other rowdy place, or is there something unique about it, being Bedlam, remaining within the state?
It's just a shorter drive than going somewhere else. Well, I mean, no place is the same, so every place is a little different.
You got a bus up from Oklahoma City, I guess, Saturday morning?
Saturday afternoon.
Bob, is this a little bit of a throwback game in that you talked about all the different styles of college football and quarterback run game, but here's 2 guys that you don't want your quarterbacks running. This is sort of an old-fashioned stay in the pocket and run around a little bit, but throw, don't run.
Yeah, it's fair to say we're a little more, our style is a little more that way, a little more conventional, if you say it that way, or pro style, however you want to do it. But in the end, those are the style of quarterbacks we have.
What do you see in his characteristics? I mean, what are his best characteristics that he presents for his team?
Well, you see a good decision maker. He's got a very, good and accurate arm. He's a smart player in where he goes with the football. So, obviously he's been coached well, and he's a bright guy. You can tell because he makes good decisions and gets the ball there where it needs to be in an accurate way.
Rarely have you been the underdog here, and I think you might have mentioned that maybe the pressure is on OSU. Can you expound on that?
I didn't mention anything about pressure on anybody, but in the end, we don't look at it that way. And our players, a good number of them were in this game a year ago. And if we weren't, I would have thought we'd have been an underdog then too. But with the way the seasons were, and our guys know we just got to come out and play like we're capable of, and they're anxious to do that. So in the end, we're a confident group right now.
Are you a lot more confident than you were a month ago?
Yeah. In the end, the way we've played the last couple of weeks, we feel like we're in a good position, in good shape.
Bob, you've never gone 2 straight years without winning the Big 12 title. Can you sort of start feeling that, you didn't win last year?
So you're saying we don't have a championship problem, or?
No, you don't have a chance. In even-numbered years, you have no championship problem. So my question is, but it's been a year since you won it. You didn't win it last year. You sort of feel yourself sort of getting the edge. Hey,
Of course,
it's
we
time.
want
It's
it.
time to win.
We want it. I mean, the players want it, and our place, we look up and places we work out, and there's a lot of banners there, and they know that's what we want to do, and that's what we expect to do. That's what our guys are shooting for.
You said you looked at Blackman when he's coming out of Plainview. What'd you see when you came out?
A really good football player, and still mad at Coach Sumlin, our receiver coach at the time, for not going with him. But ultimately, that's, ultimately, too, you can say it's my fault. So I put too much trust in his opinion, and so in the end, he's a great player.
Your kicking game came through for you against Colorado. Your thoughts on your kicking game at this point and all average, and your coverage units on your kickoff unit with the addition of Lewis again? How much has that unit picked up?
Well, they've covered great. Javon Harris on the punt cover forces the fumble, and guys were hustling down there, and on all the other ones, when you average 50 yards, you got to cover, and we were down there in good position on those punts, and kickoff cover was very solid too. We had one that wasn't the best. They only got it to the 21, but it didn't look good. So some guys got kind of chewed out a little bit by their positioning, but I don't know how many we covered that day. Not everything's perfect, but it was solid, and all of them were really good kicks but one.
Coach, the field was east and west, rather than north and south like everything else, does that affect the kicking game at all, or just?
Depends on the wind. But, you know, the wind, no matter what day it is, depending north, south, wherever it's coming from, always, to me, is the biggest factor. And so we'll see, you know, it just depends on the wind that day.